I'm ready. I'm ready to get started now. Okay, so welcome one more time to our AdWords account setup webinar. We're going to be going over some of the basics of Google AdWords if you're not familiar with it, if you're not familiar with the advantages of it, and then really some of the tips that I can give you on how to set up your account properly. One of the most important parts of your account is the setup. I can't tell you how many AdWords accounts I've looked at that have been running for years, spending thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars that have very poor setup. And just a few minor changes make a world of difference. So whether you're starting a brand new account or you're continuing with your old account to make some more changes and optimizations, hopefully this will be a good webinar for everyone here. So let's jump right in. So these are some of the things I'm going to cover right now. I mentioned I'm going to talk about just an introduction to AdWords and what exactly it is, how you can use it for your business. I'm going to show you how easy it is to sign up for AdWords. It takes 2 seconds, how to really get started setting up just the actual back end of your account. And then we're going to talk about how to create successful campaigns, successful ad groups, how to choose keywords for your account, how to write great ad copy, and really how to measure your results. Because one of the most important things I tell everybody is that marketing is all about testing, especially with Google AdWords. So unless you can measure your results, you're not going to know what is and isn't working to make changes to your account. So first of all, what is Google AdWords? Before we even jump into that, let's launch a poll right now. I'll let Elle handle that one. But I want to see how many people here already have active Google AdWords accounts running.
So we're just going to launch this poll, and please take a second to vote on it. The question is, do you currently have a Google AdWords account set up? And the choices are yes, no, not yet, or not very well, if you do have one but you're not very confident with it. And we're going to leave this up for about another minute now. All right, I think maybe 5-10 more seconds or so to get the rest of you guys on here, but I do see an overwhelming number of you guys voted, which is awesome. So we're just going to close this out in another second and share the results. All right, so let me close this and share the results. So as you can see, 36% of you guys do have a Google AdWords account set up, which is awesome. 9% of you guys do not. And yeah, another 55% of you said not yet.
Okay, so that means that the 36% of you who do have it set up, maybe you can benefit from taking a look at this and seeing the best possible way that you can optimize that account. And 55% of you don't have one, but it looks like you're planning on having one. So this is perfect for you. So you can get started the right way right from the beginning. So let's go a little bit into what Google AdWords is. It looks like most of you don't have an account, whether or not you're planning to start an account. So let's show you why you should start an account. Basically what AdWords is, it's Google's online advertising program. So every time you search on Google, you see all these different ads showing up on the top, on the sides. There's ads showing up on different websites all around the internet. And basically this is how Google makes all of their money. So their main goal is to make sure that they're bringing people back to Google to keep searching so they can keep selling ad space. So that way your business can succeed, they can succeed as a business, and all of their customers are happy. All the people searching on Google thousands and millions of times every day are finding exactly what they're looking for. They're going to your store and they're buying the products. So the way that AdWords works is it's a live auction. So when you hear people talking about buying keywords on AdWords, they're only half right. So this isn't like buying space on a billboard where you set a price, you're leasing out billboard space. Same thing sometimes happens on websites when you buy a banner ad spot. What you're doing with AdWords is you're bidding on keywords. So a number of different advertisers all want to choose to show up for the same keyword, and they're all going to place a price that they're willing to pay for that, and they're going to compete to see who's going to show up in the number 1 spot, the number 2 spot, and all the way down the list to the bottom of the page. So this is a great system because it really helps people choose how much they want to pay. It makes people have the most relevant ads possible, so it's a good user experience for people searching. And it really works very well for advertisers, for Google, and for the user who is searching. So where do your ads appear? And I'm sure most of you have searched on Google before. You're familiar with a Google search page. But there's a lot of different results that show up here, so it can be kind of confusing. So the first thing that we see here in these blue boxes that have sometimes the pinkish background, sometimes it'll be yellowish, you'll see a section that's labeled ads. Sometimes it'll say sponsored ads or sponsored listings. They like to change that all the time. But these are Google AdWords ads that are running on a Google search page. Now you'll see here somebody searched for the keyword zip lines, and that brought up all these different ads, so 2 on the top, and then another 6 coming up on the side. Now those are mixed in with different types of search results. So we have video results for zip lines. We have shopping results if you want to be involved in that. That's Google's shopping comparison engine. And then we have Google's organic results, which is what people talk about when they're thinking about SEO. So these are 2 different regions here. We want to focus right now on the top and bottom ads that show up, because those are pay-per-click ads that are run through Google. Now, in addition to just showing up on Google.com when you're searching, Google also has a whole network of search partners that many of you are probably very familiar with. The one people usually don't realize here is AOL Search is powered by Google. So if you're advertising on Google and you select to show on their search partners, you're eligible to show up on AOL Search as well. In addition to that, everyone here has probably looked at Google Images looking for a picture, or Google News looking for news articles, or Google Shopping when you're looking to buy something for a late Christmas present. All these different pages here, many times we'll have AdWords ads right at the top, and it works exactly the same as on Google Search, only this is part of Google's extended search partners. Now, one of the coolest tools Google has is the Google Display Network, and not too many people actually take advantage of this the way they should. Basically, this is a whole network of websites that Google has around the internet, ranging from tiny blogs that have very few followers, all the way to massive websites like HGTV, which I've shown right here. There's a couple different things that you can do on this website. You can do banner ads, so things like this Capella University ad showing up over here is probably a Google display ad. It says advertisement right under it, really small in there. You can do text ads like we have blown up in that image over here, which are similar to the ads that show up on Google, only they're showing up on these websites. And you can even do some really cool things like remarketing, which is showing ads to people who have already been to your website and having the ads follow them around the internet. So I'll talk a little bit about that today. We go more in depth in a whole webinar about remarketing if you want to find out information on that. But there's a lot of cool things you can do here to find people who may be searching on how to paint an antique finish on walls, like in this article, and they're not looking to buy from a hardware store yet. But if they see your hardware store ad up here, that's going to be a great opportunity for you to gain a customer who wasn't even looking for you yet. So I explained what AdWords is now, how it's very good to get you in contact with your customers and for your customers to find exactly what they're looking for. So how do you get started with AdWords? Well, the first thing you're going to do, you're going to go to adwords.google.com, and you're going to click on Sign Up. And if you already have a Google account, meaning you have a Gmail or you have an analytics account or a Google Calendar, any of these tools Google has, you can use that same account for AdWords. It's a very quick process. All you have to do is create a couple of campaigns, some ads, some keywords, put in your billing information, and you can get started probably within about 5 minutes for a very small campaign just to get going. So you signed up for Google AdWords. Now what do you do to set up your account? I took a couple screenshots here of some of the nitty-gritty back-end stuff. I'm going to go through these very quickly. The only thing that's necessary when you first create your account is to set your time zone and the currency that you'll be doing. So make sure to be careful here because these are something you can't change in your account. You'd have to delete your account and create a new one if you mess these up. But you should choose the time zone that you're going to be using if you're doing ad scheduling, and also the currency that you want people to be, that you're going to be using to pay for your Google ads. So if you're advertising in the UK and you're going to be paying in pounds, or if you're paying in euros, make sure to choose that as your currency. If you're in the US, make sure to choose dollars there. Now there's a couple of different payment options that you can do. And like I said, the way Google AdWords works is it's an auction. And you bid on keywords, and when somebody clicks, that's when you're going to pay for an ad. And that's called CPC. It's PPC. It's pay-per-click bidding. So your cost per click is how much you end up paying when somebody clicks on your ad to go to your website. Now, Google's not going to bill you every time there's a click, because some of these campaigns will get hundreds, if not thousands, of clicks every day, every hour. There's a lot of traffic going through here. So what they do is give you 2 options, and one of these is manual payments, and the other is automatic. Google recommends using automatic, and so do I there. Basically, manual means that you can upload a payment to Google. Let's say you're going to put $5,000 in there, and Google will keep taking from that amount until you run out, and then it'll stop running your ads until you put more funds in. Automatic payments is what I recommend, and here all you have to do is put in a credit card, and when Google sets a threshold limit, and they change this as your account has more history, it'll bill you. So it may start billing you every time $50 worth of clicks is accumulated, and then you'll see it increase to $100, and then $250, sometimes up to $500 or even $1,000. Every time that limit's hit, it'll bill your credit card there, so you don't have to worry about making sure there's enough balance there so your ads don't stop showing. It's all taken care of automatically for you. So this is a quick setup process. You just put in your company's billing address and information, you put in a credit card number, and you're on your way to setting up the rest of your account. I do see there was a comment in here that says someone can't hear me. Is there anyone else in here? You can raise your hand right now if you can hear me. I just want to confirm that it's coming through clearly. If you look on the toolbar, there's an option to raise your hand on the side over there. So I have a couple people raise their hand. Let's see if everyone can hear me right now. Okay, I see a couple hands going up. So I'm not sure that may be a problem just for that one. I just want to make sure I am coming through to everybody. Yeah, I see some comments coming in. Okay, so we'll continue on with that, and we'll see what the issue is, if we can fix that there. If not, we are recording it, and we can always show that back to you later. Okay, so moving on to here, there's a couple of preferences that you're going to want to set up in your account. The first, we mentioned early, you have your time zone set up, you have your language set up you should do right away. But there's an important thing a lot of people miss, and that's in the account preferences section, and that's auto tagging. And basically what this means is it allows Google Analytics to automatically tag each of your ads and keywords in the account so you can track what data is coming from which searches. Now this starts automatically set to no. What you're going to want to do is go into here and change this to yes. So that way when you look at your data, you can see that people who searched for the keyword zipline specifically spent an average of 2 minutes on your website, and people who searched for zipline kits spent an average of 10 minutes on your website. So you can see which is a more effective keyword. So that's a very important step that a lot of people overlook that you should change right off the way, and that's under My Account Preferences. Now, I mentioned that you can look at a lot of data in Google Analytics, so it's important if you don't have an analytics account to set that up, and that's quick and easy to set up, and I can help anybody here set an account up for themselves after this webinar. They've even integrated it further recently, where now you can view analytics data in your Google AdWords campaigns once they're linked. So you can import goals from analytics, which basically lets you track who completed certain actions on your website. You can import certain data, things like bounce rate, which is the number of people who leave your website without clicking on anything else, to see if you're getting relevant traffic. And all these things integrated into one platform lets you really easily see which keywords, which ads are working, and what's not. So now that you have your account set up, you have your billing information in there, you have your analytics set up, it's time to start creating campaigns for what you actually want to advertise. So there's a couple of different types of campaigns you can set up. The basic that most people are familiar with is a search campaign. And that's those ads that come up on the google.com page or wherever you're searching from, just those basic text ads that show up there. Now there's a number of different things that can show up on the search network as well. We mentioned the search partners, those different websites such as Google Images or AOL Search where you can have ads as well. And also product listing ads. Now this is a new thing that Google's implemented recently, where they used to have Google Shopping, which was a free service. Now their product listing ads are all run under this PPC technique. So to run an ad, when you search on Google, just like with ziplines before, you'll see that certain items come up with the product images, the product price right there, and you can compare between a bunch of companies. This is a great place to be because this is people who are looking to buy the product right away. So if you are paying for a click from them, there's a good chance you're going to get that sale if you have better prices and a better product than your competitors. Now the other real half of Google is the display network, which we mentioned. And we mentioned here that you can have image ads like that Capella University ad I showed you. You can have text ads just like on Google, only they're going to show up on other websites around the internet. And remarketing, which is one of the cooler things you can do, that once somebody comes to your website, you can follow them around with ads on the internet, so they're more likely to come back and make a purchase. Now these are some campaigns that I suggest everybody start out with in their accounts. And the first is a campaign that I usually call My Company. So it's important to target your own brand name in Google. Your competitors will be targeting it eventually once they see that you're on AdWords and they see you're competing for the same keywords. And also you have full control over the ad text and what's showing up here. So you may say right now that when I search Ajax Union, I come up first in organic results. Why should I be paying for clicks? Well, the reason here is that you can control your message. You can control your bids and make sure that you are showing up above your competitors and that they're not jumping up in front of you. And instead of just having that text that's pulled off your website automatically by Google, you can put special offers, special discount codes, put your phone number right into there, so you are communicating the best you can with your customers. Another campaign I like to create is a competitors campaign. And as I mentioned, your competitors will eventually start targeting your name. Now this doesn't mean you should go out and put ads that say, Nike shoes in them if you have a shoe store. You want to make sure that you're still complying with all the laws and not stealing someone's trademark here. But you can target the keywords of other big companies and then have your ad show up. So if you do have a shoe store and you want to target the keyword Nike, you can show up when people do search for that term and make sure that you're going to get some of that traffic of people who may be looking to shop for shoes in general and don't necessarily need Nike but already know about it. I think it's very important to have a display network campaign to start out at least. This could be more of a branding tactic where you can target certain placements with just your company's logo, your company's images, anything that will make people recognize your brand online. But you can see that you'll get cheaper cost per clicks for a lot of different industries, so it's a good thing to test out at least. Now definitely in the same way, you should have a remarketing campaign. The reason for that is a lot of people will come to your website either from a search campaign or a My Company campaign, and they're not going to buy right away. Maybe they're shopping around. Now those people, when they're surfing the internet now, are going to see your ad on all these big websites, and I can't tell you how many times people come to us and say, I see the Ajax Union ad everywhere online. How can I get my ad on all these big prominent websites? This is really the best way to do it. So once you already paid for someone to come to your website through a click, now you want to reinforce that and bring them back to your website to make that purchase so you didn't waste that money on that first click. I mentioned that there are also content text ads, is what I call them, and these are just text ads that show up on the Google Display Network, or the Google Content Network. This is another great tool to try out because you can have the same text ad showing, only sometimes, once again, you'll get cheaper CPCs for these. That's a cheaper cost per click. So you'll end up spending less to get the same amount of people to your website. Now the most important and standard one, I would say, is just regular search network campaigns. So these are things that are just targeting Google.com. The reason this is the most important to me is because this is the most direct traffic. These are people who are searching for buy zip lines, and they want to buy a zip line right now. They're not just somebody who's looking at funny videos of someone riding on a zip line and sees your ad on the side and may be interested, or they may not be. So this is a great form of really direct marketing here. The last thing, if you do have an e-commerce store and you're able to submit a feed of your products to Google, is what we call PLA ads, or product listing ads. And that's what I mentioned in Google Shopping, where you can be compared with a bunch of other larger companies. You can get sorted by price with them if you do have better prices. People can see your product hand in hand with them, and they can make an informed decision then. So this is a great place to be for people who are looking to buy right away, and it's very easy to set up. Now I did see a question coming up in here, expanding on the rules about using the Nike name or any other brand names. Now I'm just going to answer that real quick. Certain people are more strict when you are targeting competitor campaigns. For example, if you're selling watches online and you want to target Michael Kors, I know for a fact that he is one person who doesn't allow you to use his name in the actual text of the ad. So if you do try to use that, your ad will be disapproved and Google will flag your account for that. Now that doesn't mean you can't target him as a keyword, and you can show that you sell luxury watches. Those are two different stories there. So as long as you're not using their name in the actual ad text or in keyword insertion, which is another thing to be careful about there, you shouldn't have a problem targeting most of these brand names. The issue really arises if you put up an ad and the subject line or any of the description lines in the ad say Nike shoes. So just make sure to keep any brand names out of the ads. Don't try to trick people into thinking that you're Nike. And as a general rule of thumb, if you're not trying to trick people on Google, they're not going to penalize you for anything. But you can target those different brand names online. Okay, so when you're setting up campaigns now, I'm going to show you exactly what it looks like in AdWords, and I'll walk you through the process. So they changed this up a little bit recently, and they have some pre-made campaigns. You'll see that they have one for product listing ads that you can click right away. They have a standard campaign that has a lot of these settings automatically picked. I'll usually go to all features so I can pick exactly what I want and optimize it the best you can possibly. So the first thing with a search network campaign like we have here, I would like to stress it's very important to keep search and display network campaigns separate. You can create a campaign that targets both of them, but they perform very differently. Clicks are different on both of them, competition's different, conversion rates are different. So it's important to separate those out and make sure you're targeting search and display networks separately. Now with a search campaign like we're starting here, there's a simple checkbox that decides if you want to include search partners or not. Most of the time when you start a campaign, I would recommend leaving this on and trying out including search partners. There is an option in Google AdWords where you can segment your data out and see how you did on the search partners as opposed to the regular search network. And if you see that you have much lower click-through rates, which is very common on the search partners, or much higher cost per conversions, meaning you're spending more on clicks to get a sale or to get a lead, that's when you should start excluding search partners and doing just a separate Google search campaign. A lot of times that'll happen with very visual industries, so I'll use watches as an example again. People may be looking for pictures of watches, they may be just searching Google Images, and every time that happens your ad is showing up but not getting clicked. That's getting you lower click-through rates. Some people may be clicking on it anyway, but they're just looking for pictures, they're not looking to buy, so you're spending money. That usually happens with very visual industries. Now the next tool down here is the device targeting option. And this lets you target mobile devices separate than computers or laptops or anything else like that. So I want to get Elle back into here for a second so we can launch a second poll to everybody. To see how everyone here researches products.
So now we're going to launch our second poll. Let me just launch this right now. And so the question is, how do you normally search the internet when you're looking to buy a product? And you can choose the following options: from my computer, from my phone, from my tablet, with my iPod, iPad, or MacBook, because you know a MacBook is a separate category, and anything with an Apple on it. And please vote for one of them. I think I would definitely vote for option 5 if I could. So.
There are a lot of people who will only use those Apple products, and looking at the votes already, I see we have some of them right here.
I see most of you guys have voted, which is awesome. I'm going to leave this up for another 10 seconds or so and then share the results with everyone.
Okay, let's take a look at these results and see where you're all searching from.
Okay, let me close out of this poll and share the results with you guys. So it looks like an overwhelming 79% say from my computer. Nobody really searches from their phone or from their tablet, and another 14% search from an iPod, iPad, or MacBook, and about 7% are Apple fans.
So we have lots of Apple fans here. Some people may be including their iPhones in there. I'm actually surprised not a lot of people put that they search from their phones, because more and more a growing number of people are searching from their cell phones in here. But it looks like most people here do search from their computers when they're looking to buy a product. Now the reason I asked this is because I want to show the importance of some mobile targeting options that we have. So let me pull up the slideshow one more time from the same spot. And when you're setting up your campaigns, this is an important thing to keep in mind, that people are searching for different products. They're in different stages of the buying process depending on what they're searching from. And it's going to be different for every product or every industry. So one option that Google gives you is to separate your campaigns by device, and even as far as specific models of devices, specific carriers, specific operating systems. So why is this so important? I always recommend, if you have the budget that you can split between campaigns, to at least separate things between mobile campaigns and computers. Now you'll notice that cost per clicks are totally different between the two. Competition is totally different because some people won't even try advertising on mobile phones. Lots of different options going on here where you may want to target just mobile phone users for a product. You may want to target both, but you want to do it separately at least so you can control the competition. So some of the examples of how specific you can get on this, you can target desktop and laptop computers, which would be a computer campaign. Mobile devices with full browsers, that's things like having a Droid or your iPhone. Tablets, so that's things like the iPad or the Nexus or any of the tablets out there. And then they let you go even further within that. And if you want to target only people searching from iOS 5, only people searching from an iPad 2 because you know they have an out-of-date iPad and you want to advertise the new one to them. Or maybe you have a special offer to AT&T phone users and you don't want to target everybody who's searching from their Wi-Fi or from their Verizon phone. You can target those very specifically. So this is a powerful feature you should take advantage of here. Another great feature they let you use here to create your campaign effectively is location targeting. So if you target all of the U.S. except for Hawaii and Alaska because it's too expensive for you to ship there, you shouldn't be showing your ads to people searching from Hawaii and Alaska. Now this is a very easy tool to use to target this. I showed an example right here of just choosing Brooklyn as a targeting option. And you can do all kinds of different locations. So counties, towns, cities, states, countries. You can even exclude countries. So let's say you want to target or you can exclude states as well. So if you want to target all of the U.S. except for those two, you don't have to choose the other 48 states. you can just come in and exclude Alaska and Hawaii from there, and that's going to be your targeting. So this is very important to make sure that you're not spending money, but you're not showing ads to places that you can't help anyway. If you're a plumber in Brooklyn, you're probably going to be targeting Brooklyn and some areas around it. Now that leads you to some other options. Besides just searching specific locations, you can target a radius around an area. So you can say that within 50 miles of where my location is, I want to target just that region. And maybe it's not going to be a specific outline like the end of Brooklyn over here, but at least you'll be getting a wide range of people in there. So after you set up your location targeting, the next thing to think about is your bids, your budget, and a couple other things about how to show your ads to people. So Google gives you the choice to choose between manual or automatic bidding. I'm going to recommend manual because I'm making you all experts right now, hopefully, so you'll know exactly what to do and how to bid on these keywords. Automatic is going to try to get you the most clicks possible for your budget, which can be effective if you want to get in front of a lot of people. But the problem is it's not going to be optimized necessarily to the right clicks. So if you can get a lot of people in there who aren't buying your product, that's really not going to help you in the long run. So I recommend manual bidding so you can bid individually on all your keywords and see what's working and what isn't. All you have to do for this is set a default bid. So you can test this out, and you'll see along the way that if you're bidding $8 a keyword and showing up first every time, you may want to reduce that. And if you're bidding 20 cents a keyword and showing up ninth every time, you may want to increase that. You can experiment with what this default bid is. You can adjust it later on for each individual keyword. But this is something that you should set right off the bat and choose a level. I'll usually start around $1 or $2 and see which way I'm going to go from there. The next thing you want to do is set your budgets. And this is important to make sure that you're not spending more every day than you want to. So if you want to spend $3,000 a month on Google AdWords and you're advertising for 30 days, you should set your budget at $100 per day for all your accounts. All your campaigns rather, and then you can break that down within campaigns. So maybe out of that 100, you'll have 10 campaigns, and you want to allocate $10 a day to the My Company campaign. So this is where you set that when you're first creating that budget, and you can change that at any time. Now the last thing that I included here is something, once again, if you guys are all going to be experts, I want to show you the advanced way to do some of these things. They give you the option for delivery method to set to standard or accelerated. Now if you're going to be watching very closely and monitoring your budgets, I recommend setting to accelerated. And what this means is every time somebody searches your keywords, your ad will show up until you get enough clicks that you run out of budget for the day. So you could have your ads start showing at midnight and get 50 clicks immediately for $1 a click with a $50 budget, and your ads will be paused by 12:05 in the morning because they were on accelerated. Or you could have it go throughout the day and realize, well, I could be spending more on clicks and I could be showing more often to this because it's working for my business, so let's increase my budget a little bit. The other option here is the standard delivery method. What this does, if you don't have a lot of budget to allocate to certain accounts here, is it will space out your ads evenly over the day. So every time somebody does search for you, you may not necessarily show up. Google will try to figure out, based on previous days and what you're bidding per click and how many impressions you normally get in your click-through rate, a formula to say that, okay, every 5th time when somebody searches for zip lines, we're going to show his ad, and that should space it out so his ad will run all day long. Now, if you don't want your ads to run all the time, all day, you can use Google's ad scheduling feature, and this is a really handy tool. So if you're receiving phone calls, let's say you are a plumber in Brooklyn, and all of your leads are coming in over the phone, but you're not in after 6 o'clock at night, and you're not in before 8 o'clock in the morning, you can tell Google to only run your ads during the days that you're in the office during those hours. Now, even if you have an online store where you can sell products all the time, you may notice that people are searching from midnight till 5 in the morning every day, and they're browsing the internet, but they're really not buying at that time, which is pretty common for a lot of industries, that those time periods of night, that's not when people buy products, that's when they're researching and just looking things up. So you may choose, even if people can buy your product, to save your budget for the more effective times of day. So this is something to look into after you've run some ads for a while, after you've done some testing, and then you can set your campaign scheduling to fit appropriately. Now, if you don't want to shut off your ads completely, there is an advanced feature called bid adjustment. What that allows you to do is to change how much you're going to be bidding on keywords by a percentage for certain times of day. So like I said, let's say from midnight to 6 a.m., people aren't buying your product, but they are clicking. You can change your bid adjustment to only spend 50% of what you normally would. That way you're not spending as much, and if you get more people in for that half-price click, basically, you still may get some sales from that, and it'll be worth your while. So now you've created your campaign. You set up your ad scheduling, your targeting. You have a search campaign ready to go with your bids and budget all set. Now how are you going to break that down? So here's an example setup for a shoes campaign. So once again, you have an online shoe store. You're setting up a regular search campaign, and it's just going to be called shoes. So you want to break that down further to people searching for shoes. Now, my method here is to break down your ad groups based on the keywords you're going to be targeting. So if people are looking for men's shoes, they're probably going to want to see a different ad, and they're going to want to go to a different page on your website than someone searching for women's shoes. If people are searching for buy shoes or shoes online, you can get very specific with the keywords and the ad text, so it looks exactly like what they're searching, and they're going to get the most relevant ad possible, see a special ad going to their page, and they can make that sale much easier. Now, each of these ad groups that you create need a default bid for the keywords. You need to create a list of keywords in each of them, so that would be different variations like shoes for men, men's shoes without the apostrophe, and you can build out your keyword list any way you want. And you also need at least one ad for these campaigns to run, so that way it'll have something to show to people. So once again, you're going to have a different ad that may say, we have the best men's shoes online, buy them now, or you can say an ad that we have the prettiest women's shoes online, and you're going to be attracting a different audience, showing it to different people so they can see that exactly what they're looking for is available. Now, Google recommends this if you read their training. I also recommend to group keywords by common themes so you can create those relevant ads. So that's really where men's and women's shoes come in. If you want to be targeting tennis shoes versus dress shoes versus leather shoes, these are all different themes that you should look for inspiration from your website for. So if you do have an e-commerce store, you'll probably notice that it's broken down into categories because this is how people search for things. So create ad groups that match those different categories on your website, and then you'll have really targeted pages to send people to later. Now, just to show you exactly the breakdown of an AdWords account in kind of a visual format, we went over some of these different areas. So the AdWords account where you put in your billing information and you make your Google account and password is the highest level they have there. Within that, you create your campaigns. So that's something like the shoes campaign or the My Company campaign or a competitor's campaign. And on that level, that's where you set your daily budgets, the location and language targeting we spoke about, distribution preference, which is if you want to be on the search network, the search partners, the display network. And if you want your ads to end at a certain time, let's say you're running a New Year's promotion that ends right at New Year's Eve at midnight at the end of 2012, you can set end dates, you can set ad scheduling, all these different things are at the campaign level. Even further down are the most specific part of the structure, and that's the ad group. And that's where all of your keywords and your ads are grouped together so they're as relevant as possible and associated in a common theme. Now, to anyone here who already does have an AdWords account, as we spoke about before, most of the time when I look into an account of someone who hasn't set it up correctly, this is basically what I'm going to see. So I'll see that they have their AdWords account set up. I'll see they usually have one campaign that focuses on just the core of their business. So if they're mostly a furniture store, they'll have a furniture campaign. And then they'll have one ad group within there that's just called furniture, just so they can put their whole list of keywords and all their different ads in one spot. Now the problem with this, as you see right here, if this is your keyword list at the bottom and this is the ad that you created, people who are searching for a floor lamp are going to see an ad that says the best furniture. People who are searching for rugs are going to see an ad that says the best furniture. What you see here is a very vague ad where people aren't very likely to click on this. And if you know anything about AdWords, we're not getting into the actual process of it in this webinar. If people don't click on your ad, that means you get a lower CTR, which stands for click-through rate. And in the long run, that means you're going to end up paying more per click. So the more specific your ads are, the more relevant they are, and the more you can get people to click on them from having good ad text and having it relevant to your keywords, the cheaper you're going to be able to get a new customer for, and the cheaper you can get someone to come to your website for. So if this were a better setup account, this is what the structure would actually look like. So you could still have that same furniture campaign, but there's going to be a lot of different types of furniture that you're going to have. Now, firstly, you want to exclude all things like rugs, all things like lamps, anything that's not furniture. You want to put those in their own campaigns so you can be specific. But right here, you're going to have things like leather sectionals, leather love seats, leather chairs. So not only do you have 3 different types of furniture, you're using something like leather to keep it as specific as possible instead of having one that's fabric sectionals. All these different variations you could possibly have. Now, even further, you'll see that each of these keyword lists is grouped very closely over here. So you'll see that there's buy leather sectional, leather sectionals, buy leather sectionals. All these different variations, whether it's plural, singular, has a word like buy or online. Things like love seats. Some people will search it as one word, some will search it as two. All these different variations can be grouped together because they're all basically the same person looking for this ad. Now if you look at the actual ad copy here, you'll see that now you can get very specific with the offers you have. So if leather sectionals start from $19.99 with a 5-year warranty, and that's a great price, but that seems like a lot for a leather chair, now you can advertise that here so people aren't scared away when they're buying a leather chair for $19.99 because they see they're getting a whole couch instead. And that works for all the different ad groups here. You can get very specific with offers that you're doing, different free shipping options maybe for certain items, and talk about the actual features of each product. So now you have your ad group set up, you have your campaign set up, your accounts are ready to run. All you need is keywords and ads to fill those up so you can get started. So what keywords are you going to choose here? First thing you have to do is build a keyword list of what you want to show up for. So it's important to brainstorm your business first of all. You want to take a look at your website and see which categories you have. See what keywords are listed on your website and what's going to bring the most people to your site. And if you have analytics set up before you even use AdWords, look at what's getting you the most organic traffic and sales. It's also important to think like a customer here. If you may know something by a technical term or an industry abbreviation, it's definitely going to be important to look at how a customer may search for it. They may use different words that aren't quite accurate, but that's going to be something they're searching for, so you want to show up for it anyway. Now I'll go over some of the unique selling points that people have, but if you're selling products that are used or they're refurbished or they're cheaper than others, these are good things to include in your keywords as well as your ads. I also mentioned here plural and singular versions will have different competition and people search for them differently. Spelling mistakes, sometimes people will not know how to spell a word. And a great thing to do is include product numbers and codes. So when someone's on a review site looking up the latest iPad and they copy and paste that serial number into Google, you should show up for that product number to make sure that you're going to make the sale on it because they already know what they want enough that they know the product number right away. So that's a very qualified client to try to make a sale to. So what are some great tools to use so you can look up keywords for your website? The first is Google's very own keyword tool. They've changed this a lot and added a lot of new features to it. So now you can search for different ad group ideas where they'll group keywords together for you. But the main bulk of what this tool does is you put in a keyword that you want to see and you can see how much traffic it's getting. So for the keyword surfboards, it gets 550,000 searches in the US every month. It'll give you an estimated CPC of what it's going to cost to get on the first page for that keyword. And it'll give you an indication of how tough the competition is for that. So if a lot of people are searching for that keyword, if only a few people are searching for it, or if it's high competition and it's going to cost you a lot of money to get that word. Now you can get to this page from this link I put at the top. It's kind of a messy link, but if you just search keyword tool in Google, it'll be the first thing that pops up. And play around with putting different keywords in there and seeing the different variations that come up. Now this is one of my favorite ways to look for keywords when you don't necessarily know what you're looking for, but you want to see what people are searching for. When you search on Google and you have instant search on, once you start typing surfboards, it's going to give you other suggestions of things people commonly search for. Same thing all the way at the bottom. You'll see searches related to surfboards. And this is probably a great time if you have a beginner surfboard shop. Maybe you never thought to advertise for beginner. Or surfboard brands for people looking to research a surfboard to buy but don't really know what they need yet. These are great options to find keywords and something called negative keywords, which I'm going to go into as well. Those are words you don't want to show up for. So used surfboards, if you have a new surfboard store, would be something that you don't want to show up for because that's not your clientele. So we always talk about the Goldilocks Principle here when you're choosing keywords, and this is how to choose keywords that are not too specific and not too general. Similar to how Goldilocks needed porridge that was not too hot, not too cold, but just right. So a keyword like vacation is something that's going to be very broad. It can mean a million different things. Something like Florida vacation rental, that's something that's probably commonly searched. It's not too broad, meaning people are looking for Florida specifically. They're looking to rent that vacation home. But something that's too specific wouldn't get a lot of traffic. So something like 3BR vacation rental, Grayton Beach. Now, not to say that's a bad keyword, because the more specific, the better. If you do have that as a keyword and someone searched it exactly, that's great, because you have exactly what they have to offer. The issue is if you have too many of these keywords, you're not going to get the traffic that you need to really be successful. So it's important to mix up some of those very specific keywords with a lot of those just right keywords. Now as an example of what happens if it's too broad, which is really what you want to worry about here, for the keyword vacation, if you search it, these are all different things that can come up. So vacations for veterans, National Lampoon's European Vacation, vacation accrual policy, all these different keywords that aren't really related to what you're probably offering. Most businesses won't be offering something that will give each of these different options. So there's a lot of things that will get unnecessary clicks, and if they don't get clicks, it'll give you a lower click-through rate, which means a lower quality score, and like I said before, that's when you end up paying more per click. So there's different match types you can also use once you pick your keyword list. So if you want to show up for Caribbean cruise, because that's what you're offering with your cruise service, there's really five different options that you can use for keywords. The first here, and it's called broad for a reason because it's the broadest, is the broad match type. So if you search for Caribbean cruise, and this is in there as a broad match keyword, things like Caribbean cruise ships, even related words, so maybe tropical cruise, things that Google finds to be relevant, can show up. Now this is a great keyword to use to bring in a lot of traffic, but it could bring a lot of non-relevant searches as well. So you should try to avoid using too many of these. What I like to use instead is a broad modifier, and what that means is it will do a broad match to every keyword that you have listed with a plus sign in front of it. So instead of having maybe a keyword come up that's just matched to cruise, and it'll come up Mediterranean cruise, it'll at least have to figure out something that's related to Caribbean and also related to cruise, but can be in any order and any keyword variation. A great one to use is the phrase match, because this one's not too specific. This happens when you put it in quotes, but this means that you can have a word show up before or after your keyword. So luxury Caribbean cruise or Caribbean cruise deals. Since people may not be searching exactly what you think people are, it's a great way to get other search terms that are close to it. And the most specific is when you put it in brackets, and that's called an exact match keyword. And that means only people who search Caribbean cruise in the exact same order and with no other words in between, same exact spelling, are going to see your ad. This is a great one to use, but it won't bring in a lot of traffic many times. When it does bring in traffic, though, it's people who are searching for book Caribbean cruises today. That's a great thing because you know it's exactly what they're looking for. Now, probably the most important match type, and it's not a regular match type, it's what's called the negative match type. So you can create negative keyword lists, and what this is going to do is it's going to exclude words that you don't want to show up for. So here we have listed as a negative keyword Tom, because you don't want to put in the broad match Caribbean cruise and have search results show up for Tom Cruise, because you know that's not what people are looking for your business. So adding in a negative keyword like Tom is very important to make sure that you're only getting relevant results there. And this is a great thing, like I said with surfboards before, to make sure that used surfboards aren't bringing up your company as well. So now you've built out a keyword list, you've chosen different match types, you have all of your ad groups set up, and you're ready to run, but you need to create some ads to actually show people. So this is the last part of the setup process I'm going to go through real quick. First, let me just break down what is actually in a Google ad. So you'll see that you'll have a title show up at the top, and it's only 25 characters long, so you have to choose wisely on what you want to show and what you want to promote here. There's two description lines that are 35 characters long each, and there's a display URL that shows up, which is what people are going to see in the ad, but not necessarily the page you're sending them to. And that leads to the fourth part of the ad that doesn't actually show up, which is the destination URL. This is the real page you're sending people to. Now the reason they have these separately is because a lot of websites will go to glendalePetResort.com/?22946 dogboarding. And that doesn't look very good in an ad. It can confuse people. Sometimes they're really long if they're dynamically generated. So instead you can create a nice, good-looking display URL that only needs to have the same domain. So as long as it still starts with glendalePetResort.com and you don't change it to petco.com, this is a great way to put a nice clean URL that can further promote your product. So some ads that you want to avoid doing are really vague, unclear ads. And Google doesn't even allow you to use some vague words like keyword, like click in your ad. And the reason is because that's a very vague call to action, and everybody wants you to click on their ad, obviously. So you really have to think when you write your ads and not be vague like some of these ads I have up on the screen. Some really good things to think about when you're writing your ads is what sets your business apart. So if you can list in your ad that all your products are made in the US, or that you're open 7 days a week, or that you have lower prices or offer free quotes, other people who put these vague ads up are going to lose out to you, because when people are searching, they're going to see that your business has something better to offer, and it's going to make you stand out. Now, you also want to describe your products and services. So if you do have great features like a battery that lasts 8 hours when the competition only lasts 4, or you are a tech support company that has 24/7 on-site support, these are great things that separate you from your competitors again, and you want to list these into your ads. And the most important part of your ad, and you should always include this in every ad that you write, is a call to action. Now, it might seem like everybody puts buy now or call now or some of these very vague things at the end, but the truth is they really do work, as long as you're not being too vague with things like click here or visit us now. So the more specific you can get, the better, but you really do have to direct people to take that next step. So if you want them to call you and order a pizza, you have to put that idea into your head, not to just take a look at your website and not order, but actually call us and order a pizza. If you do have a 30-day free trial, don't just say that you have one. Tell people to download that free trial now, because you're giving them the next step that they should be able to take. So if you do these things together, you should be able to write great ads for your business. Experiment with different ads, and you can have them rotate to split test different ads. But these 3 steps will really help you out writing these great ads. So now you have your account set up, you're ready to run, you have keywords, you have ads, you have a campaign that's properly set up, all your billing information is good to go, and now your ads are running online. So how do you see what's working and what's not so you can make it all work? Well, the last thing you have to do is understand what conversion tracking is. Basically, a conversion is just a desired action that's being completed on a website. So for an e-commerce store, that would be something like an order confirmation page that comes up after you completed a sale that you can only get to if you actually completed a sale. For a service-based industry, that's usually a thank you page that comes up after someone fills out a contact us form or a lead generation form. That way you know that somebody came from a Google ad, you can see exactly which keyword they clicked on, and they did exactly what you wanted to. So you filled out a form, they bought a product. Now it's easy to set up conversion tracking. All you have to do is go under Tools and Analysis and select the Conversion section. You're just going to click Create a New Conversion, and you can name it anything you want. A lot of times I'll just name it Sale if I know that I'm just tracking sales on the website. And it's going to generate the code for you that you're going to put on the web page. The only important thing to check here is this page security level step over here starts at HTTP, but if you do have an e-commerce store, chances are your shopping cart is going to be HTTPS. So make sure to change that so it's actually going to work for your tracking accurately. Now after you finish that page, you'll click Generate Code, and then I make the changes to the code so you can see it right there. And you're going to copy and paste this onto that order confirmation page, or that thank you page, or that receipt page, anything that people can only get to after they complete whatever action you wanted for that conversion. So this is just a quick copy and paste right into the body there, and then you should start tracking conversions. Now it's important to know that conversions sometimes can take up to 30 days to track correctly. Many times I'll go to a website and I'll look at a product and say, wow, I clicked on this Google ad, I really want to buy this, but I'm not going to buy it today, and I'll come back 2 weeks later and buy it. Well, the truth is I still found that through Google Ads, so you'll get credited for that keyword even 2 weeks, I think up to 30 days later. So this is a great tool to use. You can see this ad is working better than another ad, or this keyword is working better, or maybe the competitor's campaign is bringing in a lot of clicks but not many sales. So this is a very important thing to use so you can see what's working and have a successful campaign. I recommend doing this right off the bat and not trying to figure it out later after you've already been running ads for a while. That way you have good data right from the start. You can see the changes you made are making or aren't making a difference. So I mentioned it's easy to sign up. You just go to adwords.google.com. You can use your normal Google account. It takes 2 seconds to sign up. And if you just follow these steps, you can go right through the process and get started very quickly to have an account. Now I see that somebody did ask, will we be able to review this again? And we are recording this webinar, and we will be posting it online after to go back through it. I know we went through very quickly a lot of information. So if anybody does have any questions, feel free to ask me them right now. If not, I'm going to put my email down into the chat box as well, and you can feel free to email me personally, and I will try to get back to you as soon as possible to explain any of these setup steps and help you with any problems you may encounter along the way.
Wow, David, thank you so much. That was perfect. I do see a lot of people writing in, and thank you for the presentation. There's a lot of info here, and we did go really quickly, but hopefully you guys got a lot out of it. And David, thanks again. To answer the question, we are actually going to post this PowerPoint presentation as well. Moving forward, when we do webinars, we're actually going to post the presentation on our blog. So I just sent the link to everybody as well. So it's just ajaxunion.com/blog, and we're going to post a link to the PowerPoint presentation by the end of the business day today. And we also are recording this webinar, and we're going to try to put that up on our webinar page. Let me just send you a link to that too. That's just ajaxunion.com/webinar. And we're going to try to link to that as well. If not by the end of the business day today, then definitely by tomorrow. And I do see a lot of people saying, again, thank you for the webinar. I see a few questions also. So, David, I'm just going to toss them over to you.
Sure.
So somebody asked, does AdWords affect my organic results on Google?
So AdWords will not affect your organic results, and Google makes that, they try to make that as clear as possible. So if you are paying for keywords and you're bidding on keywords on AdWords, it will show up above the organic results if you're targeting it, but it's not going to help you at all. And same thing the other way. Your SEO is not going to help with your Google AdWords. So they are totally separate things, and that's to make sure that you can't buy your way into organic rankings. So Google still does stay a very fair search engine.
Mm-hmm. And I see another question coming in here. I'm getting a lot of impressions but no clicks. What should I do?
So if you're getting a lot of impressions but no clicks, there's a couple things that could be going on there. First, make sure that you're showing up for the right things, and there's an option in the keyword section to view the search terms that are bringing up your ads. If you're showing up for things, maybe you have a broad keyword like Caribbean cruise, and you're showing up every time somebody searches for Tom Cruise, that's an important thing to make sure that you're weeding out through negative keywords. And if you are showing up for the right search terms and you have a negative keyword list built out, next you want to start evaluating your ads. So if your ad is very vague and doesn't have a call to action, maybe it's not related to the keywords that you are targeting, even if they're good keywords and a good ad, you want to go back and make sure that your ad is getting the best click-through rate possible. So that's including things that differentiate you from the competitors, that are showing a good call to action saying to buy our product now or to call us today. And these are things that are going to make people click on your ad and come to your website, provided you're showing up for all the right things.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. And if anybody else has any other questions, feel free to type them right into the questions box. I see one more question right now. I know Ajax Union is a Google certified partner. Would you recommend getting AdWords certified?
Absolutely. Google does have a very good training program online. You can just Google Exam Center, and it'll bring up their training program. It is a long process, and there's 2 very long tests that you have to pass, but the information there is very valuable in how AdWords works. A lot of this is right from the training program there, and I would definitely recommend getting certified and going through the process if you're going to be doing this all the time.
And I sent a link to the certification program in the chat box as well if anybody wants to pursue that. Otherwise, I don't see any other immediate questions now. If anybody else has questions moving forward, feel free to email David directly, or my name is Elle. I'm going to include my email as well. If you guys have any other questions about the webinar or future webinars that we have, we'd love to see you there. Otherwise, David, thank you so much again, and we'll see you for our upcoming webinars.
Great. Thanks, everyone.